All right, guys. So I just wanted to go over a couple things that hopefully you have gotten from the Desmos discovery. So in your companion on page 68, if I were here, this is what we'd be doing together. So describe the type of association that each scatter plot shows. Remember that we are focused on, is it positive, is it negative, is it no correlation? So this one right here, the trend of the data as X is increasing, Y is also increasing. So this is a positive correlation. If we want to be more specific, when you have positive or negative correlation, you can describe it as strong, or you can describe it as moderate, or you can describe it as weak based on how close together the points are. So these points are pretty linear. They look very close to a line. So I would call this guy strong positive. On B, it doesn't seem that there's a pattern here as X is getting bigger. It's like this goes up, then it goes down, up, down. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So this is what we would describe as having no correlation. And in your Desmos slides, it goes over that, gives you examples. Make sure that you have done that activity. All right, the next one on page 69, this one's super important. You're going to see things like this absolutely on your OST test. So really, really important that we understand how to do this one. What trend line in slope-intercept form models the data from the graph shown? So when you select a trend line, you want it to go through the center of the data. It doesn't necessarily have to pass through the data points. Most of the time, it will pass through at least two, but it doesn't have to. The key is that you want to make sure that the trend line has approximately the same number of points above it as below it. So I would kind of eyeball it here and say maybe the trend looks something like that. And then I might count and adjust. So this trend line, I've got 2 points that are pretty close to being on the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above. Now again, I didn't use a straight edge, so this is just like a guess at placing it, but that's what you're looking for. So write this down in the margin. When drawing a trend line, it must go through the center of the trend and what we're trying is try to get a similar, it doesn't have to be exact. If it's 4 above and 6 below, that's okay. Number of points above and below the line. So a trend line is also called a line of best fit. So I know that you've talked about those in previous grades, but trend line, line of best fit, those mean the same thing. So now I'm actually going to write the equation of this guy. Now, again, I eyeballed it, and I can already tell that it's not like as quote-unquote straight as I would like it to be. But the 2 points that I am picking that look like they're kind of on the line are this one right here and this one right here. You are allowed to pick points that aren't actual dots. If you don't have actual dots on the trend line, then you pick the ordered pairs. It doesn't have to be ones that are on the trend, but these ones are pretty close, so we'll go ahead and use them. This point is 3, 3, and this point over here is 8, 6. So now we're going back. We keep reviewing this old stuff that's so important. How do I write the equation of the line from topic 2? First, I find the slope. M equals, this is my x1, y1, this is my x2, y2. Some of you are still trying to do x minus y. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 6 minus 3 is 3, 8 minus 3 is 5. The slope of my line is 3/5. Then I know it wants a slope-intercept form equation, but I don't know the y-intercept. I'd be guessing at it. So I do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then look at all these things I'm reviewing. How to calculate slope, how to use point slope form. I plugged in x1, y1 here and here, plugged in m there. Now I'm reviewing how to convert from point slope to slope intercept. So y minus 3 equals 3/5 times x minus, that'd be 9 over 5, and then add 3 to both sides. Again, you can use your calculator to help with that if you don't want to do 9/5 plus 3, but 3 is 15/5, so that's going to give me 6 over 5. Now, this specifically said what trend line? If it just said the word estimate, then we wouldn't have to do all this. If it only said estimate, then you could look at it and you could say, you know, in this case, I would want to straighten out the trend line a little bit, probably would want to use a straight edge. So if I was going to do that, I would probably redraw. But once I have, and of course I redrew it through the wrong point, because why wouldn't I do that? But here, if I redraw that, if it only said estimate, then all I would have to do is say, oh, that looks a little bit more than 1. So I might say, you know, 1 and 1/4 or something. And then I would estimate slope using rise and run. So how many, you know, did I go up? Here's my rise, here's my run. So if it says estimate or if it's multiple choice, then you can save yourself some work. Explain why there could be no data points on the trend line, yet the line models the data. There's lots of reasons we could write there. So a line could pass through the center. But not be through the plotted points. So it is possible. Okay. So that should be enough to, you know, get at least half of your Math Excel done. Again, make sure you've finished the Desmos activity because we will be using that in our next in-class session, and that is due for a grade.